I discovered my husband's affair with our neighbor, a heartbreaking betrayal that shook my trust and turned my world upside down. I always believed my life was a dream. For 10 years, I had been married to Andrew, a man who seemed perfect in every way. He was charming, attentive, and loving. We had built a beautiful home in the suburbs, surrounded by blooming gardens and friendly neighbors. Or so I thought. Until one rainy Tuesday evening, everything came crashing down. It started innocently enough. I had come home early from work that day. The office had been closed unexpectedly due to a power outage, and I was looking forward to surprising Andrew. He had been working from home, and I figured I could bring him his favorite coffee and perhaps share an impromptu lunch. As I approached the front door, I noticed something odd. Andrew's car was parked in the driveway, but so was another vehicle. A sleek, red sedan. My pulse quickened. I knew that car well. It belonged to Emma, our neighbor from across the street. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe Emma had come over to borrow something. She and I had been friendly in the past, though not close. Still, something about the way her car was haphazardly parked, as if she'd been in a rush, sent an icy chill through my veins. I opened the door quietly, almost instinctively stepping lightly, as though I didn't want to be heard. "Andrew?" I called out, my voice echoing through the foyer. No answer. I placed the coffee on the hall table and walked deeper into the house. As I passed the living room, something caught my Emma's scarf. It was draped over the armrest of the couch, its bright floral pattern unmistakable. My heart began to pound, the walls seeming to close in around me. "Andrew?" I called again, louder this time. I heard muffled voices coming from upstairs. My stomach twisted. My feet moved before my brain could catch up, and I found myself climbing the staircase, one shaky step at a time. The voices became clearer. Laughter. And then, a low, intimate murmur. It was Andrew's voice, followed by a soft, feminine giggle. My hand gripped the banister so tightly, I thought I might break it. My mind screamed at me to turn back, to stop, but I couldn't. I reached the bedroom door, which was ajar, and peered inside. There they were. Andrew and Emma, tangled together on our bed. My bed. I must have gasped because they both turned sharply, their faces masks of shock and guilt. Emma scrambled to cover herself with the sheets, while Andrew stumbled out of bed, his face pale as a ghost. "Sophia! I can explain." Andrew stammered, holding up his hands as if to ward off my fury. "Explain?" My voice was a whisper, but it carried the weight of my shattered heart. "Explain what, Andrew? That you've been sleeping with our neighbor? On our bed?" Emma tried to speak, her voice trembling. "Sophia, I don't." I cut her off, my eyes blazing. "Don't you dare say a word." The room was suffocating. My world was spinning, but I couldn't let myself break. "Not yet." "How long?" I demanded, turning back to Andrew. He hesitated, his eyes darting to Emma as if seeking her permission. That was the last straw. "How long?" I screamed, my voice cracking. 6 months, he finally admitted, his voice barely audible. 6 months. Half a year of lies, deceit, and betrayal. My knees buckled, and I sank into the doorway, my hands trembling. "Why?" I whispered. "Why would you do this to me?" Andrew stepped forward, but I recoiled as if his touch would burn me. "I don't know," he said, his voice breaking. It just happened. I never meant to hurt you, Sophia. I swear." Emma's voice, soft and pleading, cut through the tension. "Sophia, please, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I never wanted to come between you two." I turned to her, my anger boiling over. "Then why did you?" Why did you set foot in my house, knowing full well what you were doing? She had no answer. She just looked down, clutching the sheets as if they could shield her from my wrath. I couldn't take it anymore. I stood, my legs unsteady, and walked out of the room. Andrew followed me, pleading. Sophia, please, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything. I spun around, my eyes filled with tears. You think you can fix this? You think a few therapy sessions will erase the image of you and her in our bed? Will it erase the months of lies? He had no response. He just stood there, looking broken, but I didn't care. I was broken too. I grabbed my purse and keys, ignoring his desperate pleas, and walked out of the house. The rain was pouring now, drenching me as I got into my car and drove away. I didn't know where I was going, I just knew I couldn't stay there. Over the next few weeks, the betrayal consumed me. I stayed with my sister, who tried her best to console me, but the pain was unbearable. Every memory of Andrew felt tainted, every shared laugh now a cruel joke. Andrew tried to contact me repeatedly, leaving voicemails and sending flowers, but I couldn't bring myself to face him. Not yet. Not until I had answers. Eventually, I did confront him. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, his once perfect demeanor now disheveled. Why, Andrew? I asked again, my voice steady but cold. What did she give you that I couldn't? He looked down at his hands, ashamed. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about you. I was selfish. Stupid. Emma was convenient. She made me feel alive, I guess. But it was a mistake, Sophia. The biggest mistake of my life. Convenient? I repeated, my voice dripping with contempt. I gave you 10 years of my life, Andrew. I was your wife, your partner, and you threw it all away for convenience? He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if you'll let me. I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. Some things can't be fixed, Andrew. Some wounds are too deep. Andrew's face fell, and for a moment, I saw the weight of his guilt crush him. But it wasn't enough, it could never be enough to undo what he'd done. Sophia, he started again, his voice cracking. I know I've ruined everything, but please, just give me one more chance. I'll prove to you that I can be better. That I can be the man you deserve. I looked at him, my heart aching with a mix of love and fury. How could he still think this was about chances? The man I deserved wouldn't have done this in the first place, I replied sharply. Do you have any idea what it feels like to come home and find the person you trusted most in the world betraying you? In our bed, Andrew? The bed where we laughed, shared dreams, and I choked on my words, unable to finish. He flinched as though my words were daggers, but I didn't stop. Every time I close my eyes, I see it. Every time I breathe, I feel it. And you want me to pretend it didn't happen? To just forgive and forget? How? Andrew's shoulders slumped, and for a long moment he didn't say anything. Then, quietly, he murmured, because I love you, Sophia. And I'm not ready to lose you. I laughed bitterly, the sound foreign and hollow. Love? You call this love? Love doesn't cheat. Love doesn't destroy everything it touches. Whatever you feel for me, Andrew, it's not love. The coffee shop fell silent around us. I could feel the eyes of other patrons, their curious glances heavy on my back. I didn't care. This moment was mine, raw, messy, and real. Sophia, please, Andrew whispered, reaching across the table. Tell me what I can do. Anything. I'll do it. I pulled my hand away and stood, the legs of my chair scraping loudly against the floor. You can't fix this, Andrew. You broke us. And now I have to find a way to put myself back together without you. As I turned to leave, I heard him call after me, his voice thick with desperation. But I didn't look back. Not this time. I walked out into the cool evening air, the weight on my chest slightly lighter.